BeastNet is brought to you by James Safety Services and in partnership with Beast OCR. Here we discuss all things OCR and fitness related, running, endurance, conditioning, rucking, and more. Welcome to BeastNet.
Hey everybody, Kyle, aka Hammer here, and welcome to this episode of BeastNet. Today we've got two returning guests, Lorenzo Contreras and Justin Wylie. Today we'll be discussing the Brute Force Mile, the Utah Spartan and Snow Basin Resort, Portland Beasts, and more. On the phone, we've got both of those guys. We'll go ahead and start talking about the Utah Spartan. Either one of you guys want to chip in first? Justin, since this was your first time?
Utah Spartan, it was at a new venue this year for this race. So, there wasn't a lot of information out there about how the terrain was or that. So it was a surprise for everybody that went out. For me, I think it was a tough course. It was about 2,500 feet of elevation gain within the first 4 miles. You went from 6,000 to up around between 8,000 and 8,500. And then you went right back down. So it was all climbing up for 2,000 feet, and then it was all downhill for 2,000 feet. So, it was a tough course, but that was kind of be expected because it was the last stop in the National Series race. So, yeah, it was tough. There was quite a few times that I was climbing up that, I could feel my heart beating in my head, and I was getting in my own head saying, oh, I'm done. I'd turn around and start walking back. Then I'd be like, no, I need to just keep going. So I'd turn around and start walking back up, turn around, start walking back. I'm done. And I played that game for about the first couple of miles. So I added a couple additional mileage to my count by doing that. So, but it was a tough course. At least for me, it was tough. Lorenzo, he probably had about the best race of his, career there so far. But I'm glad I did it, and it's done, it's over, and I plan on going back next year to get some redemption, just so that way I can
there you go.
Not add the extra mileage on to the race course. So, but it was good. Awesome. It was a good race. There was a lot. We partnered up with Warrior State of Mind down there. Yeah.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. There was a lot of beasts down there at the race this year. We partnered up with our sister team down there, Warrior State of Mind. So we were able to secure biggest team both days for the super and the sprint. So it was hot. It was a hot course too.
The elevation gain is what always kills me. I can do obstacles all day long, but the second you throw elevation into it, just especially steep elevation gain, that's really when I start.
Yeah.
I start, like you said, doing the same thing. I'm like, man, why am I doing this? Like, why am I putting myself through this? And then I take frequent breaks, and I'm just like, like you said, you put on that extra mileage, just kind of like walking down and walking back up, and it's definitely a mental thing, and I'm like you said, I'm sure Lorenzo had such a great race there, and for him it was probably just like, oh, it's just a tiny little hill, we'll just pop right up it.
I don't know about that one, but yeah.
I had a good race. I enjoyed it. It was a good course. Like I said, it's challenging, but yeah, the elevation gain, it's right off the bat to where you just start climbing. The barbed wire crawl was uphill. I've done the Montana Beast twice, and there's a lot of elevation throughout that course. I think last year or this year, it was a little over, I think my watch tracked a little over 4,000 feet of elevation gain over the course of the Beast. But it was not constant. You'd climb a little and then you'd level off, go back down, climb a little. So, there's a lot of little climbs, I think, this year for the Beast, whereas Utah was, once you got off the flats past the monkey bars, it was, going up, the rest of the way. So, there's a lot of obstacles that were on inclines and declines. So it kind of made the obstacles, in my mind, because I run open wave, so it was a little bit more challenging doing some of the obstacles that were on inclines and declines and that. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, if anybody I would strongly recommend that as a course for anybody that wants a challenge. Our Super in April is a challenge for everybody just because of the amount of rain and mud that we get that time of year for the Super. And, this year it was cold on top of it. So,
oh yeah, there was definitely some added mileage for me in that one. I don't remember if you, I mean, I know you guys have probably listened to the episode that I had with Mike about the super wet and cold Super this year up in Snohomish.
Yeah.
And I definitely put on some extra miles there. I was lost in my head for probably an extra 2 miles, just pacing back and forth. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Instead of cold, if you factored that in with heat and steep elevation gain, I would definitely be worse off because I hate both. I'm more of a cold guy, not a heat guy. So, but yeah, it sounds like a challenge, and I'm looking forward to maybe tackling, something like that next year. I've got quite a free schedule as far as my race calendar goes next year, so I might have to add that one in there. So, what did you think of this year's Utah Spartan there, Lorenzo?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. Last stop in the national series for Spartan, and they definitely didn't disappoint. It was a challenge for sure. I didn't have any real expectations on any kind of blazing times or anything like that. I've been training hard. Boise kind of opened my eyes a little bit, and I kind of dialed it up a little bit since Boise, and just doing my thing, kind of figuring stuff out, and kind of lit a fire into me. So I've been training pretty hard for it. Came into it, I'm sitting in about 20th place, I believe, in the North American age group standings.
Nice. So
I needed to get a couple points. Basically, showing up there and getting some points would have kept me in the top 30 so that I could qualify for Tahoe, and that was the goal. Came out. I knew a bunch of the guys that were up there I was towing the line with, and this one was really cool because normally they break the age group down between 30 and 39 and then male and female. This time they broke it down even smaller, and they had both male and female 30 to 34 go, and then 35 to 39, and they broke it down by the 5-year actual age group. So when I took off from the line, there was no question in my mind, do I need to pass that guy? Is he in my age group? I generally always want to pass the guy in front of me, but it's a mental game of, do I need to though? And then if you get a guy passing me, it's like, hey, how old are you? Because if you're older than me, I'm okay with you passing me. That shouldn't be okay, but it's a mental thing. But no, so we took off from the start, and everybody that was in front of me, I'm like, you all need to be passed. That is now, was a totally, I like that mindset that I put myself in because of that. It's just, I race a little more aggressively. So yeah, I mean, up the hill, just killing it, man. It was a good course. I found myself at one point, I now know that I was, I believe, 6th place at the time, and we were going up these switchbacks, and I've got my eye on the guy in front of me. I'm looking at the ground, eye on the guy in front of me, looking at the ground, and I almost messed up really bad. But for some reason, I looked up and I kind of glanced off to my left, and at that was like near the peak of the mountain or of the course anyway. And I see the landscape, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It's probably, if nothing else, a big reason why we do these races when we travel for them. You don't want to get lost on the course, take in some of the scenery, because, racing OCR, Spartan, and any of them, you travel to these locations, and if you've never been there before and you don't know, like, you're going to miss an opportunity to see something really cool that you normally wouldn't have seen. So yeah, I actually, glanced off to my left, and I was like, whoa, I almost missed that. It was gorgeous up there. So yeah, and obstacles on hills are always a challenge. Saw some of those in Big Bear, and they brought them back to Utah. So that was really cool. Yeah, no, it was a great course. I asked a lot of people, because this was a new venue for Spartan, and I'd never done any of the Utah races. So I asked a lot of people that did the years prior, hey, how does this course compare to the other one? And I guess the other one was a little more runnable and a little dustier, I guess, a little more dirt. So this one was more of a climb, and the descent was way technical. And a lot of people compared this to Tahoe. So this was kind of like a miniature Tahoe, basically, from what I gathered. And I completely agree with that. having been to Tahoe the last the 2 years now, I think I've been to Tahoe. Yeah, 17 and 18. So the last 2 years going to Tahoe, and I completely agree. The terrain, we didn't have a swim, but outside of that, every little piece of what Tahoe had was in Utah, just at a smaller portion. But no, yeah, if you're looking at the challenging races of Big Bear and Tahoe and any of the ones on the East Coast, Killington and all that, and you want to do one of those challenging beasts, I totally recommend doing them. I haven't done any of that on the East Coast, but I've done Big Bear and Tahoe now. And if you're looking to see, like, I want to do one of those, I wonder how it'd fare, Utah Super is a perfect way to go about, seeing where you're at as far as, are you ready? Because you're not quite at the elevation of Big Bear and Tahoe. You don't have quite the elevation gain, but you're up there, 6,000 feet. I was feeling it on Friday when we went up there for open house. I had the slight little elevation, like, yeah, we're up here. And then, yeah, once I was running, my body just kind of gets into that breathing. And I've kind of tricked myself into don't take any deep breaths. If you're taking a deep breath and you're trying to catch your breath, there's no air up there to do that with. So just keep whatever breathing pattern I've got going on, and I'm usually fine. So yeah, overall, great course. Ended up taking second place in my age group. Like Justin said, it was definitely the best finish of my time racing. Second place, first time podium at a super. First time podium at a national series. So yeah, all around it was a pretty successful race for me. The guy who took first, I don't even know who he was. I think he was like a local guy, came out and trail ran it, and he got me by like a minute. But I had my eye on the number one guy in my age group the entire time. So that was nice to be able to pick up where he
nice, yeah.
He slipped up once, and that's all it takes. He and I were back and forth a little bit there, and just one little hiccup, it'll take you off the podium. And I capitalized where he did not. So yeah, came down to the wire though.
That's awesome, man. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
the one thing I want to add too about the Super there was the one thing that they did really cool, because it was at a ski resort. And so the one thing they did, I don't know if they were going during the age group waves or not, but for the open wave, at certain areas, the snow machines that they have that help make, the snow and whatnot, they had actually set up and was just running water through them to spray cool water at certain points of the course and that. And so, you had an opportunity to kind of get cooled off a little bit when you were going through the course, because these big snow machines were just spraying, cool water out there. So that was actually kind of neat on either Spartan or the venue to set those up and have them going during the race.
Yeah, they just fired that up when I was going through. So I did feel a little bit of mist at one point. I was like, man, that's nice. That's really nice about it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're going to take a small commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that brute force mile.
Does your business need first aid, AED, OSHA, flagging, or other safety training? James Safety Services is your one-stop shop. Find them on Facebook today at James Safety Services WA and ask for a quote on hosting your training needs.
All right, cool. We're back on this episode of BeastNet. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the brute force mile a little bit. I know prior to the episode we kind of discussed this a little bit. So if you want to go ahead, Lorenzo, and give us a little spiel about what brute force mile is all about and what it consists of.
Yeah, Brute Force Mile. It's an awesome event set up by Brute Force. It's kind of like a virtual race. The ambassadors throughout the United States and probably the world even are encouraged to set them up and kind of host them. So that's what I did here in Portland. I brought all my bags out, and we all got together at a park here locally with a track, so that when you run your 400 meter or quarter of a mile, it's kind of right there, so there's no real guessing into it. I don't have to map out anything. So yeah, Brute Force, they design a workout, and it's a challenge, usually done with Brute Force sandbags, obviously. And it's a real neat program, too, because Brute Force will partner with a nonprofit, usually firefighters, police department, military veterans, and so forth. And all the proceeds will go to that nonprofit. So it's the Rock Your Socks campaign. You basically register for the event, cost somewhere in the ballpark of $30 to $40, and you get a pair of socks, and all the proceeds will go to a nonprofit. This year it was Team Red, White, and Blue. It's a veteran outreach program designed to enrich and encourage veterans to be active and do activities, essentially. So, yeah, and that's where all the proceeds went. So, essentially, you're kind of you're registering for a race, and you're donating to a nonprofit and getting a pair of socks for it, and that's kind of the way I like to look at it. So, yeah, we had a pretty strong group come out. A handful of beasts came out, and I invited the local Team Red, White, and Blue to come out, so they were aware of it, and I had a handful of them come out as well, and a couple veterans and a couple beasts. We all got to do the brute force mile side by side, and that was a good time.
Awesome. And then, so for the listeners that aren't familiar with brute force mile, it's done basically with a 70-pound bag for males. You can kind of increase the increment or decrease the increment, kind of to where you're comfortable with it. 50 pounds for females. So you guys start out with like 50 bag facing burpees, and then after that you do one lap around the track, correct?
Yep. No, that's the way it started.
And then after that, 10 rounds, 3 push-up bag drags, 4 high pulls, and 5 front squats. So 10 rounds of that, and I'm sure after that your whole body is just on fire. Then another 2 laps around the track with the bag, and then with that descending ladder, starting out with a set of 10 of bear complex, and also for those of you who aren't familiar, like I wasn't until right before this interview, bear complex is a power clean, front squat, push press, back squat, and another push press. So you guys are doing that, starting out with 10, and then after that you do 9, 8, 7, and so on and so forth till you get down to 1, along with the brute force burpees, and then one more lap around that track, and then right after that you got 50 lateral burpees. And when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned that there was kind of a way to modify that at the end.
Yeah, they tapered it down, so you had 3 options A, B, and C, and option A was that 50 burpees with everything, and then the ladder was 1 through 10. And then there was option B, which was 25 of the burpees, and then the ladder was still 1 through 10. And then option C was 15 of the burpees, and then the ladder 1 through 5. I think you only did 5 sets of the 3 exercises with the bag pulls and all that. So they did taper it down. They gave you options to do. And, and this was, I think, the first year they did that. Years previous, all the other brute force workouts that I've done, they generally don't give you the options to taper down the workout. And I think this one actually even had a kids option. I didn't actually use it because I didn't have any kids there, but there was an option for the children as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love when all these different companies, especially like the Spartan has done like the kid races, and now with the brute force. I love how they incorporate children into it and kind of get them familiarized and kind of get them into the world of, doing these workouts. I think it's actually pretty cool. I'm looking forward to, bringing my daughter out to some of these events in the coming years when she gets a little bit older, because right now fitness is not her thing. It's Paw Patrol and mac and cheese.
Nice.
Well, it sounds like you're getting to your destination there.
Getting close. Yeah, I got about another 5 minutes or so.
Cool. Well, anything you want to add about the goings-on of Portland Beasts before you head out? Portland Beasts.
Some of my most favorite beasts. I'm not biased at all, but we're a pretty good group up here, or down here, I guess. And we've got the Beast Squad coming up this weekend. It's gonna be heavy obstacle central emphasized, I guess. So we'll be doing a lot of obstacle work. I'm gonna have a handful of spears out there because that's usually the number one burpee maker. So we'll definitely get people as comfortable as we can on tossing that spear. So should be a pretty good turnout. Went to the Spartan Workout tour a few weeks ago and handed out some bracelets and some Facebook invites and stuff like that. So not all of them made the last Beast Squad, but sounded like a lot of them were interested, and potentially we could have a pretty good sized group coming this Sunday. So yeah, other things going on in Portland. The Portland Sprint obviously is a big one. That's our home race. That'll be a good one. We'll get all the beasts together and in one place and have a nice little sprint to go hang out and do our thing.
Nice. Well, hey, man, we definitely appreciate you being on the show. You know, it was awesome having you. Thanks for all your input, man, and we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love being on the show. It's great. Love talking about beast stuff and OCR stuff, and I'm sure there'll be a future BeastNet about the doings of what's going on in the OCR world. I went to work yesterday, and it was a normal Wednesday, and then I got off work, and all of a sudden Warrior Dash is gone, and Spartan Canada's kind of doing something weird, and it's just like, what just happened? Like, so much stuff happened over the course of 8 hours yesterday that...
Yeah, it was almost as if they planned it. They wanted to get all the bad news out at once.
Yeah, all the bad news and then a bunch of good news right after it. It was an intense day for me to catch up on. I'm like, what? This happened? Oh, okay, they're doing this and that. What? Yeah, it was wild. But yeah, no, I love being on the show. I love talking OCR. Yeah, no, it's been great. Also, I guess on a side note too, had the pleasure of going up north to Randall, Washington last weekend, and I hung out with Hazelana. And she is, if you don't know who that is, she is the gal that puts on the Summit to Swamp OCR. And that I raced that last April and had a blast. So we definitely need to get some more beasts out to that one, support our local OCRs. And, it was a great course. And it's going to be even better.
Definitely one of the aims now with kind of like the way we're restructuring with like the management and the show and stuff like that. We're definitely trying to make a much bigger effort to reach out to the local OCRs and kind of bring those more into the public eye. That way we can get more attendees, we can get more participants to those OCRs and just really support them on the local level, you know?
Absolutely. It's necessary. Keeps us going.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm going to get on out of here. You guys have a great rest of your show, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Awesome.
All right.
Appreciate it, Lorenzo. Have a great day, man.
Later, guys.
Late. All right. With that, we'll take another quick commercial break, and when we come back, it'll be me and Justin Wylie.
Do you like tacos?
Yes!
Do you like having fun?
Yes!
Do you like to have tacos while having fun?
Yes!
Can you walk or run a mile?
Yes!
Good news! Beasts OCR Annual Taco Mile is back and happening now through the month of August. It's a virtual challenge that you can do anywhere. All you need is a place to safely walk or run and 4 tacos. Add in some friends and you have yourself an excellent, super fun time. For more information, head on over to beastchallenge.com and the Beasts OCR Facebook group. That's beastschallenge.com.
Beasts OCR Taco Mile. 7 up today.
All right. Welcome back to this episode of BeastNet. This time it's just me and Justin, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Spartan SGX Tour down in Portland, the upcoming Beast Workout Day, which will actually take place before this episode airs. And then after that, we'll talk about the open merchandise order that we've got going for Beast OCR. So, Justin, you want to talk a little bit about the Spartan SGX Tour and what that was all about?
Yeah. So, I mean, a bunch of us have probably done these Spartan workout tours in the past where, we've had them at Roadrunner Sports or have gone off to a different location. This year's Portland one, since Spartan is partnered with 24 Hour Fitness, this one was actually held at a 24 Hour Fitness gym. So it's a little bit different than what we're probably used to in the past if you do one of these that are held at a 24 Hour Fitness. So yeah, they had the coach there, and it was held in a basketball court, so it was indoors. Like I said, it was in July, and so instantly it was just hot and muggy. There was over 100 people there because I worked it as part of the street team, so I was checking people in, and at the time we had like 196 people registered plus all the people that usually just show up the day of and whatnot. So, but what's different this year with those Spartan workout tours, if you haven't had a chance to do one and there's one coming up in your area again, and that is Spartan has kind of changed up how, we do the, because we all know about the traditional trifecta, doing a sprint, super, and beast within a year. And then they also have the endurance side that you can do. So if you've done a hurricane heat or a 12-hour, you could get the Delta wedge pieces. And so Spartan is added on to that. So after the workout was done, all the participants got a wedge piece for attending a Spartan workout tour.
Nice.
So, yeah, that. And then the shirts are a little bit different. You know, they're newer shirts this year. They were black, and they had, I could actually probably pull out one of the shirt from there. So they have, you know, a little saying on the back now. And then the back of the shirts say, drop the excuses, Spartan the F up. So, I mean, it was different than what the workout tours I've done in the past. I don't know how I feel about doing the workout tours at a 24-hour fitness. You know, it's a little different. The vibe was kind of different. You could hardly hear the coach as he was trying to lead the workout. The workout was good. I mean, it was a good workout. It was just kind of had a different vibe. Coach Mike, who probably a bunch of us have done the workout tours from, that comes up from California, you know, he kind of pumps you all up and, you know, makes you feel ready to conquer your next race. This one was just kind of a different vibe afterwards. Yeah. We were all done in that. So, but yeah, like Lorenzo said, you know, he was at the workout, and yeah, so we handed out a bunch of bracelets, and we had set up our Portland Beast Squad for July the day after. And we had a pretty good turnout. We had a bunch of new people show up that were at the workout the day before. So, you know, we did some obstacle stuff, you know, spent a little time on some obstacle, you know, things, tire flips, heavy carries. So that's where our focus is going to be on this month's Beast Wad is, you know, we're going to have the tires. Like Lorenzo said, he's going to have some spears there, Atlas stones, sandbags, buckets. So just kind of start, you know, getting people prepped and.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, you know, just do some obstacle stuff to get people, you know, pumped up and excited and ready for the sprint here next weekend that's coming up.
Nice.
So,
yeah, it's always to me, it seems like the smaller, you know, like the smaller things that you have to overcome during the Spartan races that really get me. Like a lot of the obstacles, I know that some of them I'm just horrible at because I have no grip strength, no upper body strength. And then, you know, you get to the spear throw and you're like, oh, this will be easy. You know, this is nothing like everything else. But, you know, the thing that I didn't realize coming to my first spear throw was that, you know, it definitely takes some form and quite a bit of practice in order to get that thing to just sail right into the target like you want it to. The first couple of times that I'd ever attempted it was just way, way off. And then this last one that I did at the Spartan Super over here in Seattle, that was actually the first time I nailed the target, like just straight on. And, you know, you would think going into it, oh yeah, it's a spear throw, it won't be that hard. And no, it's ridiculously hard. And I was even surprised. Like I've got a lot of leg strength, a lot of core strength, and I think that's really where my power is at, is my legs and my core. But that tire flip, that's definitely one of the areas that I have to work on, because I'm like, oh, it's flipping a tire. Okay, that's not a big deal. You know, I've done that before. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I got to that tire and it was like, I'm a little embarrassed right now because I literally went into this thinking I was just going to hoist this thing up and flip it a couple of times and be on my way. And nope.
Oh, well, and I was the same way this year for the Super. I came into tire flip, and the April Super was the first time that, you know, I was able to complete it without any assistance from somebody helping me. And so I think part of it is the Seattle Super this year was the first time that my wife has come out to a race with me for a Spartan race. So she was standing there at the fence right by the tire, because that's where the biggest team tent was, you know. So we had some beast in there. Adam was there, and I come running into the tire thing, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. And, my wife is standing there. So I'm like going, okay, I got to flip this. I can't look like a little punk in front of the wife, I can't look like a little sissy girl to try. Oh, I can't flip the tire. So I got so that was the first race that I got the tire flip by myself. And then
awesome.
even at the Utah Super, so Utah, I get to the tire flip. I get down there, I get my feet set, I get my hands set, I get it lifted up on the first thing. And I'm like, and I get it up and I'm like, okay, that was kind of easy. It seemed kind of light. I had to look around for a minute because I thought I was accidentally at, the women's tire.
Female tires?
I thought I was, I thought I was at the lighter, or, as like Serena puts it, it's not women's and men's, it's the lighter and heavier. So I thought I was at the lighter tire. So I had to stop and look around for a minute going, okay, am I at the women's tire? And I'm looking and there's a bunch of guys around me. I'm like, okay, no, I must not be. And I get it flipped over. I'm like, okay, it's not good. It's going to be, a little bit more of a challenge getting it back up. And I got it up and over and I was like going, okay, that wasn't so bad. And so I just got back to think, so as I'm going to my, I finished the race and that, and, and I reflect back on, what obstacles I completed, what I was, what I need to work on for the next race and that. And so I'm thinking to myself, about the tire flip, okay, what has made that a little bit easier? So I was talking with, a couple of friends of mine and that, and I was, the coach at the gym I go to, he asked how the race was, and I told him, and I was like, I said, when I got the tire flip, I said, it was like no problem. I said, and that thing weighs about 430 pounds. And the gym I go to, the coaching that we do a bunch of different like deadlift variations. And if you go to think about it, the way you position yourself at the tire, is kind of in a deadlift stance, either a sumo deadlift where your legs are out wide, or traditional. And the coach that sets up the programming, we've done a variety of different deadlift variations where we do standard deadlifts. We've done banded. We've done to where we're elevated on a 2-inch platform, pulling a deadlift, where the plate, the bar in that's sitting on a 2-inch platform and we're on the ground. And so I'm thinking to myself going, okay, it's got to be these different variations of deadlifts that we've been doing that has helped with the, the power in my legs and the explosiveness of coming up, but there's nothing like doing these races, whether it's a Spartan race or a terrain race or a rugged maniac, any of them, any race, of accomplishing an obstacle that has beaten you in the past. Like Boise race at the end of June was the first race that I've gotten the rings done. I completed the rings. And so that obstacle has eluded me for the last 2 seasons. And I get to the rings and I was like, okay, well, here's my burpee maker. And, I volunteered that morning as a course marshal. So I was watching all these elites and age groupers go through it and watching the various techniques that everybody was using. So I was like, oh, when I get to it, I'll give her a trot. I'll try this one. And, I got on there and it was working smooth for me. So I was able to, so I completed the rings for the first time.
That's awesome, man.
So now I just got to work on,
that's
so
one that
now I just got to work on multi-rig. So, multi-rig escaped me at Utah because, the transition from the rings to the bar back to the rings. So I'm like, okay, we'll work on that. So, but the way I look at it, as long as,
for me.
Well, the way I look at it, as long as we work on, I improve one obstacle each race, I'm happy with that.
Like what you hear? Make sure and subscribe and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're using YouTube, please click the little red subscribe icon, then click the little bell for notifications of future episodes. And if you could, give us a thumbs up.
So, yeah, we got the merch store open right now till August 15th, trying to, get everybody, that needs some race gear that, we've had a bunch of new people join up with the team and that. And so I couldn't get it going early enough because we had just done one back in June, I believe. So I couldn't get one started early enough for the Portland race, but our next biggest one is always the Seattle Beast up in September. So I got this one set up and going to where it would give everybody enough time to get some gear ordered, and store closes on the 15th, and everything should be delivered and in your hot little hands within 2 weeks of the store closing. So you should have it in plenty of time for the Seattle Beast. So, yeah, we've been kind of changing things up in case people have noticed. The last gear store we did was highlighting the BeastNet logo on the shirts. And this one is focused on our traditional Beast OCR logo. So we're kind of breaking it up a little bit because in order to do the certain logos, each logo, we have to have a minimum order of 12 in order for them to do the logos. So in the past where we've kind of just done everything at once, it's been hit and miss if we've hit that number. So, talking with Adam and that, we kind of decided to try this and break it up a little bit, see how it works.
I remember that we kind of ran into that quantity obstacle whenever, no pun intended, quantity obstacle. I think we ran into that whenever we did the order for like the custom, like the BeastNet stuff. Because I know that myself, Mike, Don, my wife, quite a few of us got the BeastNet stuff, and I remember that they had said that we had to have like a minimum order, and so actually it was kind of tough to get that that number going because we it was really desirable for us. We really wanted to have something that represents what we do. So and then I did notice, like you said, the going back to the more traditional Beast logo with the orders and stuff like that. Because I remember seeing this year at the April Super that there was some different Beast shirts and stuff like that, and I was like, whoa, those are pretty cool. I didn't.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah. So with the I was just going to say, with with our standard gear, that we do through D4 Sports, GH Unders, we were also, in the past, we tried to get it set up, but we ran into some challenges. But now we've got a really good relationship working, and we've got some new gear that's going to be available pretty much year-round on Legendborn. So we've worked out with Legendborn where we have a store on there. So the logo's a little bit different on that jersey. I actually got mine while I was down in Utah, so I was hoping to get it before I went to the Utah race, but I'm going to be wearing it at Portland. So the Legendborn gear, we can actually order year-round. That storefront will be open all the time. It takes a little bit of time. It says anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks from the time you order. It's traditionally have been taking people closer to the 6-week mark to get. But the jerseys are really nice, and they're not heat pressed onto the shirts. It's actually the technique I think is called sublimation. So it's actually kind of in the fabric itself.
Oh, that's nice.
And so, they're offering, we have a regular like sleeved race jersey. We have a tank top style. You can get arm sleeves. For the women, there's sports bras on there now, racerback style shirts for the women. And then all of our pro team and ambassadors have the new Legendborn jerseys as well. And then we just added onto the store, like some training shorts that have the Beast logo on it, and a shirt that's not really designed for OCR racing. It's more of a dry fit. I haven't got one of those yet, but it looks kind of like more of a dry fit style, like what you would wear to the gym to work out in. And same with those type of shorts, kind of like a basketball style short that you would wear to the gym. to work out in. So, but with Legend Born, yeah, some of the options that we have for gear are pretty endless. I know some of the teams that have stuff on there, they have hoodies, they have headbands, stuff like that. So it's just a matter of kind of what does, the Beast want, and if Legend Born can kind of, deliver that type of product. So, but yeah, the Legend Born stuff is open year round. You can order it at any time. They are a little spendy, but they are specifically designed for OCR racing. A couple of people have worn them for races already, and they won't snag or run when you hit barbed wire either. So they'll stand up to, if you scrape the barbed wire, it's not going to snag or run. So, but yeah, I mean, they're a little heavy, but they're designed to withstand the beating of OCR racing.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm definitely have to look into those because, like I said, I've seen the traditional order, and I've spent just a ton of money in there, and I've got a lot of Beast gear here, and sometimes I even actually wear it. I just wear it out and about casually, and I think actually I was wearing one. I was wearing my regular Beast OCR. The black with like the green stripes on the side. And I was at a Colorado Rockies game down in Denver, and like a whole bunch of guys were like, "Hey, what's this all about?" And so we talked about OCR, and I'm like, they had no clue even what OCR, Spartan, Tough Mudder, any of that. They had no clue what any of that was. And so I mean, we talked for probably 35, 40 minutes at this baseball game, about OCR, and just kind of, showing them what it was like. Like I showed them a bunch of pictures from, some of my races, some of the results. I showed them a lot of the, like videos of like the elite guys, running their insane times at all these races, and they were like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. I'm going to have to like look into that. And, I don't know if any of them actually followed up on it, but as an introduction to it, I thought it was kind of cool, and there's times where I still just, I'll wear my Beast gear out, like I've got my black and gray hoodie. I wear that constantly, and then people will be like, oh, what's that? What's that all about? And, it's kind of a way to kind of get the word out there, and encourage everybody to, if you want to, wear your stuff casually. You don't always have to just wear it to work out or do OCR. And, I think it kind of helps build the community a little bit. Who knows? Maybe talking to those guys that got them into their, their newest hobby, their newest addiction into physical fitness. Who knows? Oh
yeah, definitely. Yeah, like the upcoming sprint, I've actually got 2 people that I work with that signed up for the sprint under the team. Because they have seen my stuff going around. Pictures, and hear me talking about my OCR stuff and that, and they were like, oh, well, we want to try it. And I ended up getting that code for the Valentine's Day special. So I gave it to them, and I was like, here, it's a 2-pack for a sprint for this price. And so they signed up, and they're going to run the Portland sprint. I said, hey, sign up under this team. You get, here's the, the different perks we'd get, cause we'll get biggest team. And, we'll see after next Saturday, if, they still talk to me at work after they're done racing.
Yeah. I've got a couple of coworkers that I've talked to before. They've done like Tough Mudders and stuff like that, and they don't really do it so much anymore. They've had a couple of injuries, and But I've got there's one coworker that actually she actually just joined the Beast OCR page. I don't know if she's actually done the gear order yet or anything like that, but she loves to get out and run 5Ks and stuff like that. I know she's done a couple mud runs before. And there are quite a few people that I work with that are very familiar with, OCRs. And so I've been kind of trying to, get them on board to do more races. I'm not necessarily pushing them to join Beasts, but, if they want to, that's great. Because I know a lot of the time that they have dedicated to their families, and I know that this can become an obsession. It definitely has for me. I've done way more obstacle course races this past year than I think I ever would have even dreamed of doing, So I really like, kind of putting the word out there, especially with people that I work with that I know have common interest in OCR and going out and getting in the mud and, and so I think it's a lot of fun, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way where I think this year, just Spartan races alone, I think I'm signed up to do 14 by the end of the year. So on top of the Warrior Dash, and I'm doing terrain race the day after the Portland Sprint, and then a couple of little local ones that we have early in the year here. So yeah, this year I was all about chasing trifectas, and then next year I'm going to kind of more focus on some of the local races. Like I want to do that Summit the Swamp that Lorenzo mentioned next year, and just kind of slow down a little bit next year and focus on some of the local races. So
yeah, and see, that's kind of what I wanted to do too. Like this year, actually, I'm pursuing my first trifecta. I'm going for that one in September when they come back with the Beast here in Snohomish. And I think next year, like you said, I want to kind of branch out and do some of the more local OCRs. You know, we're talking about maybe going down to, I know this is really not local, but we're talking about going down to Santa Clarita, California for Grit OCR next year.
Oh, I've seen that one. I would love to. I want to do that one bad.
Oh, yeah.
That one looks awesome.
Yeah. I actually was kind of trying to look around for other ones to attend, you know, and because like you said, you know, it's, everybody kind of focuses more on like Spartans and, you know, Tough Mudders and stuff like that. And I think, you know, once you've done quite a bit of them, you kind of look for a little bit of variety just to kind of spice it up, you know. And so when I saw the Grit one, I was like, yeah, that one looks like really cool. You know, they do a lot of different things, and I'm really excited about maybe doing that one next year. I also want to, you know, it's going to be a lot of travel, but I kind of want to go up to Canada and do one of the X-Warriors. I want to try the Summit to Swamp. That one actually sounds like a lot of fun. Closing out this year, I've got, this coming weekend, we've got the terrain race in Seattle. The weekend after that, there's the Portland terrain. And then the next day, we have the Bridge of the Gods 10K. No, September's the Beast up in Seattle. In October, we've got the Green Beret Challenge, and then they kind of changed that.
Well, no, that got changed.
Oh,
yeah, it was supposed to be Green Beret Challenge, and now it's the they switched it. It's going to be the Wicked Trail Race.
Yeah, I do remember seeing something about that. Like I said, I've got so much going on. It's kind of like all the details like blend together, and you know. But yeah, we've got that one coming up in October. And then I'm not sure I don't think I have anything planned for November. And I think I kind of want to keep it that way because I'm planning on doing the Seattle Marathon in December. So I think November is probably just going to be all out, you know, just training for the marathon in Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah, no, let's see. Yeah, I've got the Portland Sprint on the 10th. I'm doing terrain on the 11th. And then the 13th, I fly out to Hawaii, and I'm doing trifecta weekend in Hawaii.
That's nice.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know Mike's goal because he's done the Beast there. He's finished the Super there, and the Sprint has eluded him. So, you know, we're gonna, you know, our goal is I want that trifecta weekend medal because as soon as I finish the Beast on that Saturday, that's my ×2 trifecta. And then do the Super and Sprint. So I plan on coming home with a few medals that weekend at least.
Just a few.
You know, yeah, you know, ×2 trifecta medal, Beast Super Sprint medal, trifecta weekend medal. So I plan on having TSA really question my bags with all that metal in it.
Yeah. Have fun going
and then I've got the Seattle Beast in September. Wicked Trail Race in October, and then I'm signed up to do my first ultra in October, so we'll see how that goes.
Nice. Yeah, that one's definitely a ways down the road for me because, you know, I struggled with the Super just because of the cold. I'm not really good with elevation gain. And, you know, this is all basically, you know, it's been a challenge for me from the start, but it's gotten tougher, but it's gotten easier, if that sounds, you know, kind of like a little bit of an oxymoron. But, you know, I like challenging myself, and, as you know, as do you and everybody else pretty much that does this. But yeah, ultra is definitely a little bit down the line for me. That's quite an undertaking. So, you know, have fun
that's
with that.
kind of my
I'll
thought
definitely be
process
rooting
on
for
it.
you.
I don't know, you know, we'll see how the Hawaii weekend goes. And, you know, I'm doing it in Dallas, Texas. So luckily, if I'm not feeling it after the trifecta weekend and that, you know, I mean, they're running an ultra, then the Beast is on that Saturday too. So I might, I'm thinking, see how the Hawaii weekend goes. And, you know, if I need to, I'll just transfer my race to the Beast and do the Beast instead. But yeah, right now my goal is to do the ultra and get that belt buckle.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know Don and Mike are really pushing for a belt buckle. You know, more power to you guys, man. That's, like I said, that's quite an undertaking, and that's definitely that's one that I'm aspiring to do. But that one's going to be a little bit before I go to that one.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, you know, this is we'll go ahead and wrap up the episode. You know, it's been great having you. You and Lorenzo.
It's been great.
Yeah, man. We'll definitely have to do this a little bit more often. And now that we've kind of bumped up the expectations for the show to put out a couple more episodes a week, this will be quite the common thing. So awesome, man. Well, it's been great having you on the BeastNet today. Have a great day, brother, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, you too. All right, sounds good.
All right, man.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook. Like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. This show is brought to you by James Safety Services in partnership with Beast OCR. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you like to hear. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or at beastocr.com.